Welcome back, guys. So for today's video, it's going to be something a bit different. As you guys know, if you've watched my last video, I played a few games with Tilterella. Now, that game I showed yesterday was a really nice win. This game here is one that was, again, a win. And the reason I want to showcase this video is, number one, it was a 4 versus 5 for like 90% of the game. So those are usually really good ones to watch. But more importantly, this video here should demonstrate a lot of one of Yorick's biggest strengths. Now, a lot of people don't realize Yorick has so much strength as a disruptor. And by disruptor, I mean what he can do is essentially he can take an enemy team's flow and he can do something to halt it. So let's say, for example, the enemy team is pushing as 5. Yorick is that champion that can then suddenly appear in the bot lane, which causes the enemy team to go, shit, what do I do now? Or who do we send back? So I'm just going to pause it quickly. And one of the biggest advantages of disrupting the game is in solo queue, people aren't on the same page. For like 90% of the game, no one is actually on the same page as each other. Especially when it comes to ending games. If you have 5 people doing a Baron, like attempting the Baron, and then all of a sudden Yorick appears at your bottom inhibitor, people don't like already know, let's send back the top lane, and then the top lane recalls knowing that he is enough to actually stop the Yorick. No, instead what will happen is you have 3 people recall on the spot, then one of them will look at the other 2 and go, okay, well they're recalling, I don't have to. So then he stops his recall, then the other one goes, shit, hang on, I think we need one more person, so then they'll start their recall, and then by the end of it, you've got 4 people recalling on an easy Baron attempt when you could have just sent one person to actually deal with the Yorick. And we take advantage of that big time in this game. So, just for the matchup, it's Yorick versus Evelyn. Now, this is not really a good matchup for Yorick in general. Eve usually shits on Yorick completely because Eve is one of those champions that, well, is generally really strong in the current meta. Eve has the ability to gank lanes that should ordinarily not be able to be ganked because she gets true stealth at level 6. And she can bypass wards. No one buys pink wards, so she's very strong. So you'll notice I go for the early ward on their Raptor camp here. And that's entirely because Eve is an AoE clearer. If you consider her starting item, she'll always go Talisman. I'm assuming she does at least. So I'm expecting her to do either red into Raptors or red Krugs and then Raptors. Either way, I know she's going to at least path to this Raptor camp. And that'll let me predict her a little bit better than normal. And as a result, I started my blue buff. Now, whether or not starting blue buff is a good thing or not, I'm not sure. Personally, I think red buff is better almost every single time. But I didn't want to have Tilterella go late to lane because Renekton usually is really strong if he gets an advantage. So that's why I started blue. So I'll commentate about as normal as I would in game. So make sure you start E when you take the blue buff. And try to kite it as much up to your next camp. Usually it's going to be wolves. This game, I'm pretty sure I did something a bit different. So this game here, I went for my level 3 advantage. And by level 3 advantage, I mean I went for as fast as I could hit level 3. So that's using blue, red, and the Krug camp. And off that, I went to make my play somewhere. So you'll notice I went blue into the red buff. And I'm going to kite this red buff up towards the Krugs. And I'm pretty sure I smite Q it at the last second. There we go. Right there is the first point I want to show. Notice how Eve appears on the map, right? Eve appearing on the map there is exactly what I was hoping. That lets me know that she has done the path. I know that she did. Notice her CS, she's at 8. So we already know, we can tell what her camp like order was. It also tells us what her respawn order is. It also tells me that I can probably go for an invade, okay? So we'll get 3 ghouls out of this. There's the 3 ghouls. We'll get some health back as well. Now, notice our smites coming up. Now, this is probably my first mistake of this game. If you notice my lanes, they don't have any priority. It was a bit... I don't like ganking for Kayle because Kayle doesn't do enough. But I needed to do something. So, my best option, my safe option here would have been to go Raptors into the Wolves, into the bottom Scuttle, into a bottom gank. That's option 1. Because option 2 is the one that I do, which is go for a blue buff invade. Now, the problem with this is no prio top, no prio mid. Renekton's going to come down. I was a bit confident, though, so I went for it anyway. So we'll block her inside, and we'll go for the smite Q. There's the steal, okay? So we get the blue, but we know Renekton's coming, right? So we obviously don't want to commit to this. We're going to run. Now, for some reason, if Fizz didn't leave his lane here, I think I would have just about been fine. But for some reason, Fizz rotates. So you never want to run into the enemy Renekton. Always just leave him. So I pass back. And let's hit the plant and go up instead. Now, Fizz, if he was smart, he would have stayed around there. And he would have had an escape route. But unfortunately, it cost him his life. And yes, he did flame me in chat for that. It was quite funny. Meanwhile, my bot has a nice win. So we use the blast cone top. We notice that the scuttle's been taken. That means I go mid and go towards the bottom scuttle. So we're not going to go the Raptors. We're going to go cover mid instead. Now, the most important thing out of this, any other jungle, it doesn't matter. But for Yorick, it matters. And what it is basically we need to raise ghouls out of this wave. Now, look at my counter on my passive. We have 3. That means we need to last hit at least 2 of these with Q. So that's 1. So that's dropped in the grave automatically. There's our thing. So now we're going to raise ghouls and we're going to run. Now, unfortunately, the wave came, but we did get 1. So after that, we knew Eve took that, so we're going to run straight for the bottom scuttle. Now, it's not the cleanest start. It's a very sluggish start, actually, to be completely honest. And that's primarily because we just had laners that had no prio. And you're going to have this in solo queue, unfortunately. And there's nothing you can really do about it. You just got to understand a way for you to bypass that downside. So for me, I know hitting level 6 reliably will let me bypass that downside. So we're going to keep pushing, we're going to keep farming, we're going to hit that level 6 as soon as we can. So it's going to be a pretty boring level clear. This entire time, you can see I'm pinging my bot lane because I'm expecting the Eve to go bot. But yeah, just keep clearing, that should be level 5. So we've got a nice recall here. So we have 1500 gold. Now, personally, I'm running Predator right now. I can understand if you don't want to run Predator. It's not the easiest thing to run on Yorick. But I really like the Predator buy because it gets you that boost early. So I'm going Blue Smite right now with my usual buy will be either Blue Smite plus Boots or Blue Smite Longsword plus Boots. Now, the reason I go Blue Smite is because it has a funny interaction with Predator. I didn't realize, but Blue Smite doesn't actually consume the Predator. So what you can do, which is really nice, is you can run alongside someone with Predator bonus and Smite, which slows them about the same amount that Yorick E would have, but it lets you actually land that W around them. So you don't actually have to waste Yorick E, which is really, really fucking nice. Cool. Now, if you know anything about my playstyle, I always promote people not to play time wasting. So if we go back a bit, you're going to see that Eve actually shows up top. Right there. You'll see I actually ping it. So what that basically tells me is that the bottom half of the map is mine. So I went to go for a bot gank or a scuttle here. We see that Annie. The other biggest thing I want to promote as well is know when something is wasting time. Never, ever get stuck wasting time on the map. I basically deduced from where my team was and where this Annie was that nothing was going to happen here. So I went and farmed instead. There we go. Unfortunately, Tilterella gets soloed. Cool. So we hit level 6. We're going to run straight to her red buff. Now we walk past the ward, which sucks. There she goes. So notice she was level 5. So that basically told me I could go for the fight here. So we land the E. Now, admittedly, this W should have actually gone in front of her, so she flashed into it, but I couldn't do anything about that. Yep. So we'll fast forward a little bit. So I had a feeling she'd stick around for the Krugs. She hit level 6 off that, which is unfortunate. But notice Rakan stayed around, so I figured he'd want to face check this bush a little bit. So we can pick up a little cheeky kill here. There we go. That's nice. Cool. So we're going to clear the wave out before we run. Get those ghouls. Now, I'm looking at her Raptors right now. I'm looking at both the Eve and I'm looking at the Raptors. Primarily because I want ghouls and I want to still punish her if I can. I saw there was a ward there at the last second, unfortunately. So we're not going to stay. We don't want to lose Maiden out of this. Okay, and there's where our pipe disconnects. So you can see it's 5-4. 13.5k gold to 14.2. So that just made things really hard, but I felt like I could still carry this game out a little bit. So we're going to full clear as much as we can. and we're going to play to our strong side of the map. Now, the strong side is actually not playing to a lane. It's playing into the jungle. Because every lane of mine is basically losing. The strongest part of this game right now is playing into no lanes actually helping out. So you'll see I force invades on their jungle. Now this is probably my first underestimation of bloody Renekton. Jesus, what a fucking burst of champion. That was nutty, man. I hate that champion. So not a good play there. Admittedly, should have been a bit more careful or predicting of his damage, because that was absolutely insane. So we're gonna look for our level 11 rush as much as we can. We're also gonna try and get our ultimate back on cooldown. So we're gonna wait around a little bit, just defend the tower, soak up as much experience as we can. And I have my eye on that dragon here. So we're gonna go get this dragon. There we go. So off the dragon, we're going to go for a little play on the mid lane. So mid was always my goal here. No matter what, mid was the lane that I figured was the easiest to gank. And you can see why. He's extremely vulnerable. Unfortunately, I just kept getting caught by the bloody E. And the support kept roaming and I just kept going. That was unfortunate. But not the end of the world, definitely. So you can see it's not going great. This game's going well for me, but the DC plus the roaming bot lane, it kind of sucks a little bit. The real strength and real twist of this game comes from knowing Yorick's power spikes. So right now, what I would do is I would pause this right now and I would ask everyone watching, if you look at, let's go like this. Get rid of time controls. Now, if you look at me right now, 220, 126 farm versus that Caitlyn, 311 with the Rakan, 1, 2, and 4. They both have sums available, and I have no flash. My question is, can I 1v2? Because this is the question you need to ask yourself. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You need to ask yourself, can you 1v2? Can you 1v1? You need to know your damage potential, because missing key parts of a game and missing key opportunities will actually hold you back more than anything in this game. So right now, I had a feeling I could 1v2. I knew I was strong enough, but it came down to finding the right play for it. I need to find the right instance to actually go for the fight. And it happens right here. So we'll slow it down. Notice the Rakan separates himself from the Kate. He gets greedy. Now, I don't want to trap the Rakan, because if I trap the Rakan, Caitlyn gets to run at me. So instead, we're going to trap the Caitlyn out. So we can actually just fight this Rakan 1v1. Caitlyn can't fight us if we do block off this entrance. So we'll stop her from running into us, and let's just fight the Rakan 1v1. Remember, he has to jump to allies. He has to jump to Caitlyn. So you see, he has to flash the wall and jumps the long way. He ults back. We get a nice catch on him. Okay, so that's a 1v2. We got the first kill. Now the second kill, whenever you go into a fight like this, you always want to look for one thing, and I like to point it out as much as I can, and that's the ability to raise ghouls as much as you can. You don't want to sit around and basically run around in circles while your ghouls attack. Instead, you want to raise ghouls. If she happens to kill that ghoul, we want to make sure there's another minion available to kill as a result of it. So you can see, I'm pathing my way down, and we go straight into the bush. Now, I don't know if she has vision of this bush. I guess that she didn't. And we get a nice 1v2 kill. Now, that alone set this game in a snowball. We were losing up until that point. That right there gives me all the control I need out of this game. We got a cannon minion in the process of pushing. We got 4 ghouls. Guess what? We get to take this tower as much as we can. So going really well. Annie shows herself, so it's going to block her in with an E. And she's pretty far behind. Or I think I'm just ahead, really. But she's pretty behind. So she backs out as much as she can. So we go back in and save the maiden by killing the tower. Okay. Perfect. Now we can chase the Annie a bit. He's in vision, of course. Ah, that was watered. Interesting. So you can see Fizz comes up. We get a nice cheeky kill. Let's clear the boob off. And we're going to recall on the spot. Now from here we have 3 item purchases. We can start into our Asterix because we're going to need tankiness. We can't afford to go damage this game. Whenever you're in a 4v5 or you're playing the sole damage dealer on your team, you need to go tankiness. The Infernal spawns. There's 3 of us here. There's 4 of them. I go for a little engage, but probably the wrong call in general. And what we want to do now is we want to force pressure. So this is where I mean, when I talked about disruption earlier, this is the first step to causing a disruption in the game. There is 4 people mid. I'd bank there's 5, right? But we're not just going to go mid, because let's face it, if you send me mid, what changes? I don't have ult, I don't have anything. The best I can do is I can trick them into recalling. So we're going to run straight to the bot lane. Going to get ghouls first, and all of a sudden we show up. And look at that, pings go off on the map. All of a sudden people are pinging, look, Yorick is bot. Renekton then goes to defend against me. Perfect. So that's 1 less person in the mid lane. Now we can go for the rotation. So we've drawn him to the bot lane, now we rotate to the mid. This is why I like Predator as well, because you can actually force that Predator. You can close the gap a bit quicker. Now, I noticed that Renekton was following me. He was following my every move, so I figured I was in vision, so I'm not going to run in. I'm not sure why Tilterella did that. Bit of a monkey there. This was actually warded annoyingly. Oh, and that was as well, wow. And I noticed that Renekton backed off, so I went and ran back towards mid. Now, I probably could have gone bot here, but I think Renekton was recalling the whole time, so we don't want to die. The most important thing is just don't die. Just play disruption. Screw with their minds. Let your team handle them while they're unsure of what to do at any given time. So we'll just clear the jungle as much as we can. Keep our CS going. Now, this is the first real, well, not the first, the second real play that won us the game here, right? And that's looking for a pick. Now, you can see they just fought mid. I've just cleared their bottom half and their blue is up. So my immediately thought is to go for the play up blue buff, right? So I run to their blue. Guess what? There's an Eve here. Now, whenever you get a situation like this, you've just had a team fight in mid, and you see their jungle. This right here is immediately go for the flash play and kill her, because there's a good chance she blew her summoners in the mid lane fight, and she actually did. She blew everything. So there's the catch. So their jungle is dead. That means Baron. So free Baron. Now they don't react anywhere near in time. We get a free Baron, right? Easy. Yorick solos Baron ridiculously fast. Now, whenever you get Baron, you never ever go for the fight. I tell people a million times, whenever I do VOD reviews, whenever I'm streaming, dude, you never fight after Baron. You always recall. And the reason for that is because in terms of gain versus lost, you lose so much more than you gain by fighting after Baron. If they take a Baron buff off 1 person, that's 1 less person with stupid amounts of attack damage bonus, right? Whereas if you kill 2 of them, that's great. You killed 2, but you already had an advantage. If they kill 2 and you kill 2, they come out miles ahead. Everyone should immediately recall off the Baron. Even if my team gets kills like this, it still, in my opinion, is the wrong call. This should not have gone the way it did. But that's just my personal opinion. So we're gonna work towards Asterix. And now let's look for the close. Now, Tilterella actually called for a 1-2-1 split push in this game. Now, ordinarily, I'd say a 1-3-1 would be fine, but not having that extra person, I don't think a 1-2-1 was the right call here. I think we should have sent 1 top and 3 bot. Tilterella should have gone bot with the rest of the team that was actually here, so we can actually go for a proper split. Because by putting 2 people mid, what it does, which is really frustrating, is if you put 2 mid, 1 top, 1 bot, the amount of ease it takes to rotate between the mid lane and the top lane is quite small. If there's an Evelyn right here, all she has to do is stand right there, because then she's in a position to react to mid lane and top lane. And then if we got Renekton bot, guess what? All they have to do is send Caitlyn top and they can 1v2 me. Whereas if we put 4 people bot, or 3 people in this situation, and then 1 top, what ends up happening is they have to send quite a few people in the bot lane. Now let's say Evelyn's here. Even if she was standing in mid, it's quite a while to run to top compared to if she was right here. In terms of reacting to plays, you don't give them any room at all. So we're going to go for the split. There we go. We got the play we needed. That's a tower. Now you're going to see, this is why I don't like putting people mid, because it's very easy to react to plays. As soon as I start seeing my teammates' health dropping, we go for the hard shove. Now, if this fight had taken place in the bot lane, right, like I actually wanted it to, consider how long it takes their Renekton to actually rotate to me here. And think how quickly it would have taken in otherwise. Look, there's Renekton right there. Now, if he was there instead, he'd still be around about here. I would have got this inhibitor as well. But because my team fought so close, I'm forced to recall out. So, definitely look to always split on the opposite side of the map as your team is pushing. Never, ever group in the same region, basically. So, we didn't really come out ahead there. We got a nice base tower broken, but that's about it. Fizz dies, which is unfortunate. We get a nice catch on the Evelyn. And Eve catch basically tells me to invade. Get some pressure and priority over their jungle. Now, I'm not going to go group mid. Let's go push bot. So we'll push bot instead. Let's set up a slow push. And just see how they react. This is all about seeing their reactions. You can see that they're pushing mid still. There's 3 there. Now, whenever you can't see Eve, I always want you to assume Eve is with her team. Never assume Eve is in a side lane. In this situation, you see 4 people on the map. As far as I'm concerned, that's 5 people on the map. Because Eve's team is the only visual indicator you will get unless you have a pink ward out that tells you where her actual presence is. By her team being mid, that tells me Eve is mid. So I go, screw it, there's 5 people mid, let's push. I see Renekton's recall, so I pull off my push a little bit. You can see they're recalling out, they're going to deal with my split. We're playing disruption here. We're trying to stop them from doing whatever it is that they actually want to do in this game. So you can see Eve is still pushing. There you go. We're still going to side split. Eve shows herself accidentally. We get a nice catch. Now there's 4 people coming down. We've seen quite a few, so we're just going to disengage. This is all time that they should be using to farm and push. They've got numbers advantage, but they can't because there's a massive pain in their ass, which is me. Alright, so they've recalled out. Finally, Pyke decides to come back. Beautiful. Alright, so we're just going to hard shove in this lane. Now my teammate dies, gets caught. We're going to block off that entrance. And we're going to hope that gets that tower. Unfortunately, it doesn't, I don't think. No. Look at that health. It's like 8. That's really unfortunate. So they go for the Baron. Now, unfortunately, what I wanted here is I wanted my teammates to actually stall them. I wanted Tilt to go in. Because there was nothing we had to lose by Tilt going in here. 1 kill isn't going to make that much of a difference in this stage of the game. Because it would have let me get close enough to be able to steal the Baron. Not sure what he was doing. But I get the Baron, which is unfortunate. Now, notice the mid inhibitor isn't there. So I basically deduce from this that there's nothing they can get out of this. So just no point, we're just going to recall. Leave a ward in the bush. And let's back out a little bit. Now you can see right now, another one. Another disruption attempt. I want this inhibitor. Because this is a very open inhibitor right now. But by walking this way and seeing them disengage, I'm guessing, I had a feeling it was warded. So we're just going to block out the vision. As soon as you get procced by the Eve W, you need to like guess where she is. The fact that her team was here told me Eve was on this side as well. So as soon as I hit that, I put the W down, blocks her out, she can't walk past, and we get away. Absolutely perfect play. This game was all about bloody disruption. It's crazy. So we're going to send ghouls into the top lane here. There you go. So they send 4 people bot. So here's another one. Another spontaneous play. You can see my team is down there. They've already shown people on their team. Again, like before in mid when they showed 4, I assume she's bot. Okay? So instead we run to their bloody inhibitor. Pop the ult and run. I don't need to stay. My minions will kill it. Now, off this play, I should have actually rotated straight through mid there. But I wanted to go to that top minion wave instead. Cool. My team actually manages to kill 2. And then we're going to rotate. So remember, this is auto pushing. There's no reason for us to stay top. We pop Predator, and let's rotate straight to our team. There's the kill. Now, good thing about Yorick is he lets you take towers when you don't have minions because you have so many things to tank him. So now we go straight for the bottom one. There's no minions, but it doesn't matter. And that's 3 inhibitors down. We're going to recall on the spot after we get the Krugs. That's max items. And the right play here is to send ult bot, push mid, then rotate to top. His dying there was really low. So always put ult in the bot lane, Yorick in the top lane. Whenever you're trying to close, this is the way you do it. Ult goes bot, Yorick goes top. And he tries to catch me. Doesn't matter, she gets solo killed. So you don't need your ult to do damage. One thing people don't understand is you don't need Maiden around. People overvalue her. Ever since the changes to Yorick's passive, you don't need Maiden anymore. So you can see, Maiden's pushing bot. She's sending 4 new ghouls my way, and I'm doing pretty much plenty on my own without her. I've still got ghouls. I've got brand new ones coming to me. And she's pushing the bot wave up now. She's raising new ghouls. You can see my ghouls solo the Caitlyn. And my ghouls actually helped me kill the base. And all of a sudden, game ends. So, that's one example of a game where, yes, the Pyke coming back did help. But pretty much trying to prevent the enemy team from actually closing out a game where they had a nice numbers advantage all came down to map movement. And that game, I hope, perfectly articulates it for you. I know it's not the standard video that I do normally. I'll try to get a gameplay video out as well. But just for now, I did want to showcase this one because it was a really nice example of how you can play the map instead of trying to play the ARAM. Everyone always tries to win games by team fight. You don't have to. You can win by split. Doesn't matter the champion. Yorick is just really good at it, but any champion works this way, especially things like Kassadin, Tryndamere, Fiora, Renekton, all these champions that can put themselves in a side lane, they do really well in them. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. I know it's a bit of a different one. I hope you didn't mind the change up, but I'll be back to normal videos in the next one. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.